closing dinner. This is on behalf of the Ethiopian American Doctors Group. And I would like to thank all of you for coming, specifically Yazidi for hosting this. It's such a beautiful evening. I do not want to make a long speech because I think everybody's tired from the long 2 days. Salam alaikum. I think for our doctors who came from all the way from the US and here today at the closing, welcome to all and thank you very much. What? Oh yes. Oh, this is thank you. Right? Thank you. Thank you for this. So, welcome to everybody. I will not make my speech too long. I just want to say thank you for coming for this lovely ending of the dinner. And I would like to, first of all, on behalf of the Ethiopian American Doctors Group, I would like to invite Professor Gamata Farah, who's the chairman of
Addis, with initial 110 beds, but going up to 300 beds. This is really our dream. It's a transformational project, and we welcome a lot of you who are here to be part of it and help us achieve that. And as you imagine, this is going to be a project that I hope will leave a stamp for generations to come. And we are really not building the building for ourselves. We are building it for the future. We feel lucky to do that. Along the way, we are getting a lot of help, support. We have a lot of cheerleaders, a lot of people in Addis, and family members, brothers and sisters. And I am really hopeful, and I think we will be successful in a short period of time, opening the doors of this special hospital. The club, as I said, is over 35 different specialties. Our mission is, yes, to build this transformational hospital. However, we want to invest in research infrastructure, and most importantly, we want to provide service. We want to work with our Ethiopian government board of physicians. That's how they are called, right? And we are called diasporas, but we are with this new thing, which in Amharic everybody is saying, so we will be here trying to be together. And this is really something we cannot do in an island. This is something we should do together, and I really welcome help, suggestion, and support, and basically work for this goal, which is going to be for all of us. I want to extend because we really experienced and witnessed an amazing technology. And congratulations, this is going to be really transformative, and this is something that can help us bridge this huge gap that is there from education, reaching out to places where we very difficult to reach out. I have so many people and policymakers and individuals to talk, but I'll just say collectively, thank you everybody who has, in some ways, forms and fashion, has extended some help. We still need a lot of help, and we want to make sure this is going to be really a project, and we want to make sure this is going to be a program that belongs to everybody. And I welcome everyone's input, suggestion, advice. And we hear that we can't do this together, it is not going to be sustainable. And we really believe the Hamsa Lomi is true. So we need everybody to help actually, and area Lomi. So with that in mind, please reach out to me, reach out to Mel, Malaku, if you were there. So Malaku is our COO, and really our eyes and ears and everything. And also here in Ethiopia we have Maraki, who can be reached easily. So with that, I really appreciate the dinner today to close our transformational journey to teach and exchange ideas. And this was naturally a knowledge transfer. It was a bilateral knowledge transfer. There's a lot to learn, and probably also a lot we thought. And that's how we're going to continue. This is going to be us together joining hands with our friends, colleagues, and brothers in Ethiopia doing this education activities on a yearly basis. So I hope you'll be there next year when we come, so that we can have some of these activities from distance, where we can bring in additional more experts who really make and add value to what we do today. So I appreciate all the help, and thank you very much for this wonderful evening.
So I'd like to introduce somebody who most probably all of you know very well, and who's really most fitting to this event today. And it's Mr. Hadi Stadisa, Director of Ethiopian Regional in the African Union, as well as Deputy Director for Africa at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I think most of you know the contribution of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to the health system in Ethiopia, and specifically this is really fitting in terms of digital revolution and technology and how it enables and potentially help Africa leapfrog both in e-learning but also in health service clinical delivery. So without further ado, it's an honor to have you here, Mr. Hadis.
So let me thank and the organizer for inviting me to say a few words this evening on behalf of the foundation and myself. To those of you who are Americans, let me wish you a happy 4th of July. The US is just waking up to 4th of July. So the Gates Foundation, as you may know, is a philanthropic organization that has been working on health challenges in Africa and Asia, as well as agricultural challenges. Ethiopia happens to be a high poverty burden. We have something like 210 projects that... So, Gates Foundation has been active in Ethiopia since its inception in 2000, primarily working in the health sector. Then, midway through around 2007-8, venturing into the agricultural sector. So we've had extensive experience in the field. It so happened that our creation coincided with the launch of the Development Goals. For the 15 years after the APGs were launched, we watched and invested in the Ethiopian health system quite extensively. I'm proud to say Ethiopia, perhaps better than any other country in Africa, has performed exceptionally well in the field. If you look at the indicators that were used in 1990, Ethiopia represented one of the worst human development indicators the world has ever seen. Extreme poverty, hovering around 63%, very high maternal mortality, child mortality rates, HIV/AIDS is ravaging our communities. But in that 15-year MPG period, Ethiopia has performed miraculously. If you look at the numbers by 2015, we met most MPG goals and we transformed the health system. And I think we did this on the back of the health extension platform that was created in Ethiopia. So here we are. 2018, at a very interesting point in time in our political economy, development space. While we have made enormous progress as a country, we also face some tough challenges in every aspect you can think of. My observation, having been a student of this country for the last couple of decades, is that the level of talent and interventions that we need continues to get sophisticated. That group of people actually transformed a lot of sectors in their respective countries. What's different and what we need to do, what we haven't done well, is actually the governments, in both cases, were very instrumental in selecting and sending people to learn specific technologies and specific technologies in those countries. Just to give you an example, in 1985, between 1985 and 1990, the number of students that the Chinese government sent to the West to study specific technologies went from 7,000 to 27,000 in a 5-year period. It was a very, and then come back into. So those kids who came back to the country transformed the technology in the pharmaceutical sector in China. So it's certainly, I think it's a lesson for us to learn. I went to school at the University of Washington in Seattle in the mid-90s, if I'm not aging myself. There was a particular scientist called Dr. Wang Jiang. He was postdoc at the University of Washington and created a company that's now called BGI, the Beijing Genomics Institute. I'm telling you this as an example of what's possible. It's an independent research institute developed to represent China to participate in the Human Genome Project at the time, and which led to the Chinese contribution to sequencing the Human Genome Project. The efforts to genetically sequence the first Asian person, the first giant panda, skillworms, pigs, chicken, goats, and others. And BGI currently provides research and gene testing services in more than 100 countries around the world, with over 5,000 employees, and they're just setting up shop here in Ethiopia. So Chinese scientists studied in the US, went back with a specific technology, created a company, currently has 5,000 people, works in 100 countries, making enormous contribution in a fairly sophisticated science. In the process, so the example here is not only there is an enormous opportunity to contribute to a country like ours who is going through a phenomenal transformation, but it also makes financial sense. As this base opens up, as we continue to educate our students, our kids, as we integrate into the global economy, people who have specific skill sets, not necessarily just those who come from outside, but who have similarly like this, leader will say, we wish we had taken these actions to be able to contribute to our society and benefit ourselves in a way and shape the course of this country's history going forward. So I'm simply here to say I'm enormously proud of what you've done and what you continue to do. I've talked to Mel and a few others, and in a way we can be helpful, we try to be helpful. But just know that you have a lot of people cheering for you in Ethiopia and beyond, and hopefully that your contribution will make a lasting impact. So thank you again for the opportunity. I want to specifically thank my good friend Noah for inviting me and for his dedication and contribution to Ethiopia. And I think we all aspire to be like you, Noah. So thank you.
It is a great day to be in Ethiopia. The whole nation is sizzling with anticipation. Hope can be heard crackling in the air. Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the impassioned and inspired new leader of Ethiopia, is calling for palpable change, and he is officially releasing the future from being a prisoner of the past. When we talk of change, we talk of it as though it was inevitable. But nothing we humans do is actually inevitable. Marshall McLuhan, the great philosopher of media in the 20th century, said there is nothing inevitable so long as we can contemplate what is happening. So long as we can think about what is happening, then we can make changes to what might otherwise seem to be inevitable. When we contemplate change, we are both excited and uncertain about what the new will bring. We face choices, and as Gandhi said, we can choose to be the change we want to see. Ethiopia 2018